Hello and welcome to HSA English Marathon, and today we are stepping into the last poem of the poetry section, which is Jack Davis's Aboriginal Australia. So it is a very powerful poem by Jack Davis. He is an Aboriginal poet and activist belonging to the Noongar tribe. So the poem serves as a historical and emotional testimony to the injustice faced by the indigenous, that means Aboriginal Australians, due to British colonization. So it reclaims the silenced voice of Aboriginal people by documenting cultural genocide, displacement, and continued marginalization. So the key themes are colonial violence and genocide. It is a poem references massacres, forced removals and killings that decimated Aboriginal communities. It presents these horrors not as isolated incidents but as a part of a systematic eradication of people and culture. And the second theme is stolen generations and cultural loss. Yes, David alludes to the tragic removal of Aboriginal children from their families by government policies. This separation resulted in an irreparable loss of cultural identity, language, and ancestral connection. Third theme is religious and legal hypocrisy. The poem critiques the imposition of Christianity and British law. So these institutions, instead of offering justice and compassion, were used as tools to control, oppress, and erase indigenous way of life. Fourth theme is false brotherhood and betrayal. The colonizers' initial friendliness is portrayed as deceitful, cheating. So their promises of kinship and unity were masks for exploitation, control, and depossession. And fifth theme is silencing of Aboriginal voices. Despite Aboriginal efforts to petition, protest, and seek justice, their pleas were often dismissed. The poem mourns this historical and ongoing silencing. And the sixth theme is national myth versus true history. So while Australia celebrates its nationhood, Davis presents the real foundation: bloodshed, betrayal, and dispossession. So the line "the real Australian story" confronts the sanitized colonial narrative. So here the whole tone of the poem is like this. It shifts from mournful to accusatory and finally becomes defiant. The speaker is not passive. He questions, he challenges, and asserts the truth. So David here uses the first person voice to reflect both personal and communal suffering, creating a deep emotional resonance. So here the language used is so direct and confrontational. It avoids romanticizing or softening the colonial impact. The poem uses rich imagery, common grave, crucified, and freckled mind evoke the horror, struggle, and emotional trauma. And coming to symbolism, church and Christ symbolize the imposition of foreign religion. Then the law book word represents denied justice. Pen symbolizes the power of literature and resistance. So when we focus to our exam, these are some of the important lines and its interpretation. You murdered me with rope, with gun. So here there is a literal violence and genocide. Another line is, you took my children from my side. It is a reference to the stolen generations. Another line, now you primely say you are justified. So here is an ironic comment on how colonizers justify their past actions. Another line is, I think of a people crucified. So here is a powerful metaphor likening Aboriginal suffering to Christ's crucifixion, elevating it to a sacred injustice. Then the real Australian story proclaims the historical narrative from national myths. Now let's look into the literary devices used in this poem. So here is irony. You once smiled a friendly smile. This is a line and it exposes hypocrisy. Then there is symbolism. I already said Lawbook, Christ, pen. It represents law, religion and resistance. And the crucified word, there is allusion, okay? That is, it's a biblical suffering, unjust death. Then there are imagery on the word like common grave, freckled mind. It evokes horror and confrontation. And there's a repetition of I mourned again. So it emphasizes that collective grief. And yes, the tone is bitter, accusatory and mournful, which reflects the injustice and loss. Now let's see some MCQs. Which issue does Aboriginal Australia strongly address? The indigenous culture, laws and colonial violence. What does the line, "You took my children from my sight," refer to? The stolen generations. The tone of the poem can be described as mournful and accusatory. You propped me up with Christ, red tape, tobacco, brogue and fears, critiques the tools of colonial control. Which literary device is used in the phrase, "a people crucified"? I already said allusion. Okay, so that's all for today. We have winded up with this poetry section, and in the next class we will deal with the next section, okay, whatever it is. I'm preparing it, so you can go back to my HSA series and for detailed explanation. Okay, so have a nice time. Bye.